say you wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy.
You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation point, which is based on a blog of the same name because our house keeps getting fuller, as you're about to find out. I am the blogger in question and the self-styled chief couch potato. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU is kicking it, summer style, and hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including but not limited to Stranger Things, iZombie, The X-Files, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., New Girl, The Originals, The Crown, Once Upon a Time, Orange is the New Black, 13 Reasons Why, and a series of unfortunate events. We've published several episodes in our Looking Back series covering such diverse shows as Friends, Sense8, Battle Creek, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, and Marvel's Agent Carter. And we've looked back to look forward at shows like The Gilmore Girls. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Grace and Frankie, American Horror Story, Doctor Who, The Good Place, Gotham, Schitt's Creek, Arrested Development, Game of Thrones, Supernatural, Will and Grace. The Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of The Punisher, and the DCTU will revisit all 4 shows in the CW's Arrowverse. We'll be launching new panels covering Westworld, Jane the Virgin, The Americans, Riverdale, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Altered Carbon, Mr. Robot, and Charmed. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll be launching our mega Star Trek retrospective into space, The Final Frontier, in the near future. We'll take a smallish look back at a short-term show from some kind of yesteryear called Freaks and Geeks, and we'll revisit one of the all-time and most-watched classic sitcoms, MASH. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers and comedy shows and Comic-Cons, and we just went live from Blue Bridge Games to take a shiny look back at Firefly. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, so make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, even if it's full feedback. I don't know, I don't have a joke for that one. Today's panelists are continuing our CPU series focusing upon a friendly family who, for generations, has lived in a full and fuller house, first on ABC and then on Netflix in a revival series event. If you're following the CPU Fuller House series, you know that I'm not here to moderate. Rather, frequent panelist Krista takes the moderating microphone once again to talk Season 4 of the revival series, Fuller House, along with a newly almost full slate of panelists, some returning, namely Andrew and Leslie, one panelist new to the panel but not to the podcast, and one brand new panelist. You no doubt have heard Kristen's voice on at least most of our active panels. In fact, there is just way too many to list, so go to our website and look for the list of all of our panelists, which can be brought up under the left dialog box floating in our header, the picture of the TV watchers on the couch, because that's what we are. We're TV watchers uniting on a couch. Okay, never mind. And for now, and without further ado, I'd like to welcome back Kristen to the moderating microphone. Take it away, Kristen.
Thanks, Kylie. I am back again to moderate. This is not my first go-around, but I think I've been on over 50% of CPU's episodes to date, so chances are you've probably heard my voice somewhere if this is not your first time to CPU. But today we are talking about Fuller House. So we are back again around that iconic blue and white living room sofa, and we're talking Season 4. Can you believe we're on Season 4 already? This is an original Netflix series that was released on December 14th of 2018. And as a reminder, because this is a Netflix original, it is only legally available to watch on Netflix, our official sponsor, who really should be giving us, subscriptions already, even though they don't, but they should, because we watch everything on Netflix at this point. But, as Kylie said earlier, Fuller House centers around DJ Tanner Fuller, played by Candace Cameron Bray, a veterinarian and widowed mother to 3 sons, Jackson, Max, and Tommy, played by Michael Campion, Elias Parker, and Dashiell and Fox Messett. The original Tanner home is full once again as DJ's sister Stephanie, played by Jodie Sweetin, her best friend Kimmy Gibbler, Andrea Barber, and Kimmy's teenage daughter Ramona, played by Sunny Nicole Bringas, have moved in with Kimmy's sort of ex-husband Fernando, Juan Pablo de Pace, and younger brother Jimmy Gibbler, Adam Hagenbuch, living next door in the former Gibbler home. Many original cast members have returned to reprise their roles, either as series regulars or in guest appearances. Season 4 can't really be sung completely in a bow, so I'm going to do it this way. DJ and Steve are happily back together. Kimmy is the surrogate mom for Stephanie and Jimmy's baby, and the season opens with her in her second trimester. Jackson and Ramona continue to navigate high school, and of course, it's filled with guest appearances, cameos, throwbacks, montages, musical numbers, and outdated pop culture references. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have reviewed Season 4 of Fuller House in its entirety and may discuss sensitive plot points. So for those of you listening who haven't watched the most recent season of Fuller House, please listen at your own risk as there may be major spoilers. And again, as Kylie mentioned earlier in the intro, our Fuller House panel got, a little fuller in the off-season, and we do have one familiar CPU voice, and one brand new panelist, Jared, joining us this time around, and we are really excited to welcome them into the Fuller House panel family. So, panelists, are you ready to talk about Season 4?
Ready.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, first things first, I would like the panelists to introduce themselves. So, here at CPU, if you're a regular listener, we do things a little differently. First, the panelists are going to be asked to identify themselves by their first name and their first name only. And then second, we are going to ask them to continue to rate their interest in the show where it stands currently at the end of Season 4. And we do this with our trademark CPU character question. So, panelists, are you watching Fuller House because you absolutely love it, you've always wanted to be a part of the Tanner family, and now you are, because you became the surrogate mother to Stephanie and Jimmy's baby, like Kimmy. You love the original and you're determined to make things work the second time around, like Steve. Well, your heart is in the right place and your love for your fictional family and friends is strong. Even those with the best intentions can have a misstep once in a while, and this show is full of them, like DJ. There was trouble at first, but it's looking like things may wrap up with a happy ending for you and Kimberlina, or the show, like Fernando. You may doubt your ability to be a good parent, or to get through this show, like Stephanie and Jimmy. Or do you find that growing up, or this show, has some rough spots along the way, like Ramona, but with the Tanners, Fullers, and Gibblers by your side, you know that you can get through anything, even watching this show. Or sometimes, does it try to be too hard to be something it's not, and it can be painful to watch, like Jackson? Is your relationship with the show officially over, and only time will tell if you will keep watching, like Max and his former relationship with Rose? Does it get on your nerves, like Jia, a.k.a. Little Bunny? Or why are you still here, like Matt, a.k.a. Big Thumper? Are you just here for the cameos, like Danny, Jesse, Joey, and Becky? Or you didn't watch all of Season 4 because you weren't in every episode, like Tommy. Or you didn't watch it at all because you're not on the show, like Michelle. So, who would like to get us started?
Hi, everybody. It's Samantha. I have sort of a love-hate relationship with this show. This is my first time being on this panel for Fuller House, but I did watch it all along. Had some major nostalgia coming up when they announced it was going to be happening. So I was very much a DJ and a Steve at the beginning of Season 4, and I slowly became more of a Jackson on my first time watching, and I recently rewatched it, and especially with the events of Aunt Becky in real life, have very quickly become a Jia and a Matt.
So you are So you really slid down the scale to it's getting on your nerves and you don't know why you're still watching it, essentially. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for joining us for season 4. We're happy to have you.
Of course.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I
Hey,
have
Leslie.
been here since season 1, and I would say I'm about between Kimmy and Steve.
Okay, so you're still loving this show because you've really loved it since the beginning.
I did. Yeah. I do. I had some good moments with this season, so I'm excited to talk about it.
All right, thanks. Well, welcome back, Leslie.
Thank you.
I'm Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
Why am I still here? I'm Matt, I guess. That's it.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of wrote Jia and Matt with you and I in mind because I know that we were kind of feeling the same way. So no surprise there on my end.
Okay, I am Jared. Thank you so much for offering me an opportunity to be here for the first time. I never thought I'd hear myself say this out loud, but it seems like I'm your only absolutely love it, and am probably more like Kimmy than I would like to admit, minus the uterus to carry the baby. So that's me. That's about it.
All right. Thanks for coming, Jared. We're really happy to have some new blood on the panel along with Samantha here. So it sounds like you and Leslie are like the top two. You guys are really excited and the rest of us not so much. So awesome. It'll be kind of fun. But before we forget, I'm Kristen. I'm the moderator. I was, really excited when this show first came out. Now I am sad to admit I didn't watch all of season 4. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm a Tommy. I didn't even watch it. I didn't finish it. I read a lot of the reviews. And I feel like I didn't miss a darn thing. It really got on my nerves, and I was like, why? It was painful to watch, like Jackson, and I'm wondering why it's still going on. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to watch it, guys. I got through about half of the season last night. I got through a couple more episodes and couldn't do it. It's so painful. It's so painful to watch. But again, reading all the recaps, I found this wonderful website who literally detailed every single little thing that happened. I feel very prepared for today's discussion. I know exactly what happens all the way through. I think I'm good. So, and honestly, if Netflix hadn't said that season 5 was going to be its last, I probably would not be here moderating this panel today. So I'm going to stick it out to the end, but...
So how did you get to this point? I know you asked the questions, but how did you get to this point?
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
We will get there.
I feel so confused because I thought that not watching wasn't an option if you're going to be on a podcast. Right? So I stuck it through to the end.
I know. I tried so hard.
Out early.
I read really, really good detailed synopses from a lovely viewer who loves the show with all of her heart. So.
No.
All right. So. Moving on, what were some of your favorite parts or least favorite moments of season 4? Let's just jump right in. What'd you guys like? What'd you hate?
I really enjoyed Max just overall. I've always liked him. I think he's adorable. I think he's hilarious. And I think he's a really good actor for his age. Like, I think he really does have a natural talent. And I just thought he was so adorable. I know he's like the comic relief, but like, he plays it really well, I think. And I just thought he was awesome. I agree. I loved him.
He's one of the more redeeming parts of the show, where he sort of has Full House charm.
Yeah, I agree. They really, in season 1, they really set him up to be almost like the new Danny. Like, he was the clean freak. He's really evolved. And I agree with Leslie. He is always a highlight to watch. I do enjoy his storylines. I wish they used him a little bit more. Maybe I'd like it better. Yeah, I do enjoy Max too. I did enjoy his relationship with Rose, but also I believe that her name's McKenna Grace. I believe, is that right, Andrew? Because I know she's in a bunch of other stuff too. She's in she was in The Haunting of Hill House. She played young Tanya Harding in I, Tanya. I mean, this girl has like blown up since she first made her appearance, and I'm not surprised that they ended their relationship on the show because she is so busy and so in demand. Like, this girl is going places.
I'm wondering if she might be the daughter on Designated Survivor. Kiefer Sutherland has a daughter. Maybe it's not her. I think it might be.
It's entirely possible. It seems like this girl is everywhere. Yeah, McKenna Grace is her name. She is literally everywhere, and she's so crazy talented.
I'd say the points of the show that I like the best were just when they focus on the kids. and not on the OGs, especially Kimmy and Fernando, not an OG, but the kids' storylines are where I wasn't as annoyed with the show.
Makes sense.
To me, clearly the most annoying, if I was going to label anything as annoying, it would be Kimmy and Fernando for me. But I also love the relationship that Kimmy is building with the girls now that they're living together. I like the fact that they're kind of out of that super annoying Kimmy stage, and she's still got some of her personality, but you could see the maturity there as a mom a little bit. So that's something I like.
One of the sweetest moments, I think, of this season was the moment between Stephanie and Kimmy where, Kimmy was worried that after the baby's born, that things will go back to the way they were between them, where they won't have their relationship anymore. And I thought it was very sweet of Stephanie to say, no, you're not just my sister's annoying friend, you're my annoying friend too. You're my most annoying friend, for that little bit of that comedy pull that the show is so bad at doing, where they just try to pull for the comedy. But the moment was there. And so I thought that was a really nice evolution, because in the original show, those two characters hated each other in a funny way. Yeah, but I just thought that was very sweet to show how those women have evolved since the show first started.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute. I think another thing that I like, just from my point of view, is just watching the whole surrogacy process. I just thought that was really cool as a woman who isn't able to have kids, just to watch that whole storyline kind of play out. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it's more of that representation that you don't necessarily see on TV.
Exactly.
And for
words right out of my mouth.
and for all of the made up storylines, the reality of somebody like Stephanie, how mothers might be concerned for their surrogate mothers, is probably fairly realistic to a particular degree.
Yeah, except Stephanie, she took it to the extreme and became, what was the term they used, Momzilla or Wombzilla?
Yeah, Wombzilla.
I guess I would say one of the things I didn't like was the musical number, because
oh my
gosh, it was so weird. Like, why at the beginning of the car in the middle of the street for a random musical number? I mean, I love musicals a lot, and of course that's what all musicals are. But mostly, but in musicals, the songs have a point and they have a lead into it. This just seemed, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, it just seemed to kind of come out of nowhere to me. I was like, okay, we're doing this now? Why?
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to rip off La La Land. Did anyone else get that vibe?
Totally. Yeah. And there's been so many elements of that, not just in season 4, but even previous, where they're trying to almost make the jokes be very relevant to what's happening in the world. And I don't know if that's just them trying to connect the nostalgia factor to be more relevant, or just a lot of times it seems like they're really reaching for something, where if they just went back to sort of just the core elements and the characters and the situations, it almost seems like they wouldn't have to be trying so hard.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how those things always come across to me, of like that's cute, go home.
I am curious to ask everybody what they think in regards to, you guys find this to be any different than it's ever been? Because to me, I don't feel like the show's really changed all that much from Fuller House all the way back to Full House. Like, I mean, you expect it, you've seen it before. Is this that different to you guys?
Yes and no.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just thought I'd ask.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I feel the only difference is, I mean, yeah, a lot of it's cheesy, like it's always been, but this time it's just vomit-inducing. It's, it's almost too much. Whereas, I can handle the, cheesiness of Full House, Fuller House, but it's just gone to the extreme. And I feel like, the times were different then, along with the wholesome television on TV. And I feel that they could have updated to today and still kept it in the spirit of Full House. Some of it, it's just too cheesy out there. More like, Full House got towards the end of its run compared to the beginning in the original incarnation. And maybe it is just, nostalgia
sense.
Wore off, and I'm older. I don't have children watching it, so I just don't enjoy it as much. I don't know. I watched old reruns of Full House. I feel like I would find a lot more that would actually make me laugh than this new show.
Yeah, absolutely. I especially like when I'm like homesick or something, there's something so comforting about the original series that I just don't find with this new one. And I don't know if just because I grew up with it, I almost give Full House a break more when it is cheesy, just because it brings up the memories that I don't subconsciously give the break to the new one. Especially in the new season. It just seems like they're trying to just, again, reach for those ideas that it doesn't feel organic.
No, I think that's a great way to put it, Samantha. It doesn't feel organic. The original series to me felt more organic. Yeah, it was very wholesome and very pure, but it didn't feel inorganic. It still felt authentic to me, and maybe that was because, I'm the same age as Michelle, as Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. So, I was definitely on the younger end of the spectrum of the kids who were watching it. I came into it much later. But this show feels like it's reaching. The musical number was extremely, it was out of nowhere. There was no point to it. The insanely blatant sexual harassment that Becky gets literally at the hands of her new Wake Up San Francisco co-host that they got to replace Danny, that's not funny. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Especially with what's going on. And
I was going to say, especially at this point in our culture.
Not only at this point in our culture, but that's why, and we'll get to this later on in the discussion, but that's why the original showrunner, Jeff Franklin, got fired from the Netflix, from this reboot. And then they're putting it in season 4, but they're trying to make a joke out of it, with her facial expressions. And I'm like, that is so inappropriate. I don't know what you're trying to go for here with this particular little storyline. It's not the right way to go about it. They could have made a lot of other character choices for this new anchor to make him the wrong fit to be Becky's co-host, to get Danny to go back to work. That is not the right one to make. There's just so many wrong choices that they have made. They're trying to reach, and they're trying to play to the funny, to use kind of a term I learned in college in my acting classes. They're trying to make things funny instead of just letting situations be naturally funny on their own, and it doesn't work. A lot of this doesn't work. That's kind of how I wrote DJ's character description earlier, is I can see where they're trying to go, where they have good intentions of trying to make it like the original, but it's not working. It just falls flat.
I would say if there was one thing that I also wasn't a huge fan of myself personally was the Jia and Matt thing. There's a couple of things. First of all, seeing the transition from the kind of the rebellious Jia to the Mama Jia, there would be a natural maturity there, but it's still kind of weird the way that they added her in there. Obviously, it's too close to everybody else for her to fit in that position, and I found that a little weird myself.
I agree with that. I know. I still loved the show, and I still think that there were a lot of really cute, funny moments, and overall, I really enjoyed the season. I think it was much better than the last one. But I feel like if they had had some sort of lead up to that, if they had an episode where, they meet, and but she just kind of comes in out of nowhere. We don't find out how they meet. We don't know how long, they've been together.
But do you think that was kind of the point? Was that shock value? Because we've seen Jia before, obviously, in the prior season.
That could be.
She is one of the more memorable female side characters that the girls interact with.
That could be.
So I think they just wanted to find another way to get her involved.
And a lot of their characters seem to just pop out of nowhere anyway. There's not a lot of lead-up time for most of their characters.
No. Things just happen. even at the end of season 3, Steve went off to go take a job as the Lakers podiatrist, and then, I know some time passes, obviously, but, then all of a sudden, the first episode of season 4, nope, he's back. There's no showing of their relationship long distance. It's, nope, it never happened. He's back. He quit his job for her. That's what they do. There is no showing real life. It's just, nope, we gave you a problem, but we're not even going to address it. It's fixed.
Right. It's they don't, and there are little glimmers of where you can see that there's genuine connections between, especially the original cast and the women. And if they would allow those relationships to flourish, I almost think we would be doing a better service to the characters and the experience than trying to just rush through and try and hit all these moments of we got to throw this cameo in and we have to make it situational. There's elements there that are still good, but they're smothered under all of this trying too hard.
Okay, what about the DJ CJ thing? What does everybody think about that? The DJ CJ thing.
Trying to rekindle their friendship because she feels so bad about breaking up their wedding.
Oh, well, yeah, that
And she
as well
misses
as,
her, and
yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, obviously that's not realistic, and also just the fact that CJ, DJ,
Yeah,
similar.
she's alternate universe DJ. That was the joke, right?
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I don't know. Did we need it? What do you guys feel? You're being very quiet about this, besides Jared.
I think it was interesting. I think it definitely was something I was curious about. Like, how are they going to tie that up at the end of the last one? I thought, well, I think it gives a nice closure to that part of the storyline. I don't know how necessary it was, but I thought it was nice that they added it.
I could be wrong, but I feel like one of the things that they seem to want to do on the show as a whole, like from start to finish, everything, is they're sending messages one way or another. And I think that one thing that is good that for me personally, that I appreciate, and that's just kind of part of my personality and my values, is that they try to kind of show a little bit of example of maybe kind of how, even though a lot of times in the world that we live, the way that these things happen aren't the same, but maybe it's good for people to see how people should treat each other or how it comes back together, even though it's not completely realistic at times. I think it definitely is something that maybe it causes people to think maybe I can try to be decent to somebody rather than having to feel like every time there's problems we have to be hating each other or separating each other or fighting or whatever. You can work things out. Maybe that's just a stretch, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think there were a lot of moments like that in the show for me anyway, like, teaching Jackson how to drive, and, they go to the prom and he goes to that party and drinks and gets hungover and all that. I think the way that they dealt with those was really mature and an updated way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't deal with it
like an after-school special.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I think they dealt with it in a really mature way, and I think there were definitely some good. Like, if I had been a kid watching that, I would have been like, oh, okay, this really is something that can affect you, and I shouldn't drink, or whatever lesson you're trying to put through. So I think it definitely reflected like how different parenting is nowadays, and how kids today, and I'm gonna sound so old, but kids today are very different than even when I grew up, and it's kind of cool to see that reflected.
So do you think Fuller House does a better job of addressing those issues, like Jackson getting drunk at the party, than they did back on the original series when they had more of those moments?
I think so. I think we've learned a lot since then about how to treat kids and how kids process things, and how to effectively talk to them so that the point gets across. And I think they did a really good job of that. And I think they did it in a way that wasn't shoving it down your throat either. You know what I mean? I feel like in the other version, it kind of was more, maybe not shoving it down your throat, but it was like so much more dramatic. And yeah, here it was kind of dramatic, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, it was more, I don't know, to me it was more palatable, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Or more realistic.
Yeah, exactly. And while that's not something I can't relate to on a personal level myself, because I didn't, when I was a teenager, I didn't do that. But, there are kids today that do that. And I'm sure there were kids in my class that did that I, didn't know about. So I think they did a really good job of tackling those kind of serious issues like they did in the past.
Rather than just brushing it off. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, like what you liked, what you didn't, some of the funny moments that were actually funny?
Well, for me, and this is just me, it might not be anybody else, but I laughed so hard when Danny was talking to Jackson in the bedroom, and he was like, I feel like I'm on a Dateline episode. And as someone who's a diehard true crime fan and a diehard Dateline fan, I knew exactly what he was referencing, and it made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, Matt, you mean, not Jackson.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, where he's like, I do all of my best talks in my kids' bedrooms.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got
that was a little awkward, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I find it funny that Dad could just pop in and say, I think you guys should be business partners again. And one of you can close down your business and come back over to the other one and come back together in the same building.
Yeah, that's a little unrealistic there. Yeah. A lot goes into that. It's not as easy as, we're just gonna be business partners again. See you all over at my new clinic.
Yeah. So does it almost seem like maybe their core problem, just as we're talking through this, I'm thinking, is maybe that they don't truly know what their audience is. Like they're trying to be the original series, to be that family program, but then there's all these elements that they're trying to play to the nostalgia folk, and you almost have to pick a lane. And if they did that, would it be a more enjoyable show?
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
It was just my epiphany.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you think about it, it's, our generation is the one that grew up watching it with our parents or grandparents or, what have you. But now it's potentially our generation's kids who are now also watching it. And even the little people, the people in between, like teenagers and all that. There's a big age range potentially watching this show. So Samantha, you may be right that maybe there's such a big range of people that could potentially be viewers that they'd have to try to appeal to everyone.
But I think the original show probably had that same issue too, because it was part of that family block of programming, but maybe they weren't as conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this show. This show almost, it's like they're self-conscious about the fact that they're back and they want to be good enough.
Yeah, they're trying to do something that's going to appeal to everybody in some way. Like I read a review as I was kind of doing some research to get my questions and things, and there was a grandfather who is watching it with his 8-year-old granddaughter out there, and he was talking about like all the sexual innuendos that are more present in this show that weren't around during the original when he was watching it with his kids. And it's like I didn't really think about it, but kind of looking back on the episodes, like you're totally right. Lots more innuendos coming from the three, the girls, DJ and Steph and Kimmy, than there were from Danny, Jesse, and Joey, it seems like. I don't know. Do you guys...
I necessarily agree with that. I think almost like an innuendo spectrum. Maybe. I think all of that was still in the original, but I think they were a bit more sneaky about how they went about it.
Okay.
More subtle.
All the censorship, where now they don't have to do that being on Netflix. So it's a little more innuendo in face. Is how I would read it. Because when you're looking at it from a more adult perspective, when I go back and rewatch the other one, there's a lot that it's like, oh, I totally didn't pick up on that when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've definitely had that too. I think you make a good point. I think maybe they are doing that with that, because I definitely had that same experience where I watched the old show and I'm like, oh, I never picked up on that when I was younger and watching this on my couch.
One of the things that I found interesting recently as I've considered the shift from primetime television to Netflix featured shows is, there's a clear difference to me. I've found that not only with the change of the times, but it seems like Netflix as a whole, they're not shy about wanting to make everything more edgier. It's like they feel like if they don't make it a little bit edgier, then they're not going to be relevant or they're not going to be as popular. I don't particularly know if I agree with that completely, but definitely I can see that Netflix likes to put that in there, I find.
Or is it that the writers have more creative freedom because they're not limited like they are for network television?
That could be it.
Is there anything else about season 4 that you guys want to talk about as far as storylines or plot or things that happened?
I do like the whole surrogacy storyline. I don't think we see enough realistic depictions of that on TV. Not to say that this is necessarily, given all the jokes and the characters, realistic. But I think from the perspective of family members helping each other, you don't see that a lot in a genuine way.
Yeah, and I thought that part was great too, like I mentioned before. And I gotta admit, I got a little teary at the scene where the baby's born and they're playing that song, because that song, my husband has it on his iPod, and he plays that song a lot when we're in the car and stuff, and like it'll pop on. So I'm very familiar with that song. So I was like, oh, I love that song. Like it was the perfect song to go with that moment, you know what I mean? And it just kind of gave me I got a little verklempt, I'm not gonna lie.
A couple of things. I love there was a part where Stephanie was talking to her dad about her career and singing and all that kind of stuff. And then her dad reminded her that, becoming a parent, sometimes you put your dreams, you kind of shift your dreams a little bit from what you wanted to something a little bit different. I personally love to see adults kind of saying, I can have fun with kids, I can love kids, I can do things, and it's just as valuable with those kids as if I became some, kind of big star. That's just my little cheesiness myself, but I love that.
I
We
think
can all be cheesy.
Yeah.
We all have our moments.
Yeah, totally.
Andrew, what about you? You've been awfully quiet.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
What'd you really hate then?
Though, that I enjoyed season 4 more than seasons 1 and 3. I couldn't tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still think season 2 was my favorite. I don't remember much of this season. I did watch it all. Yeah. I oddly enough, that cheesy 70s, the Charlie's Angels episode.
Yeah, the Charlie's Angels night.
That was actually one of my favorites, and I think it's because I allowed myself to embrace the stupidity of Fuller House.
Yeah, that episode also saw guest appearances from the original $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman and the mom from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool too. I really liked that episode too because it kind of showed how even though they're moms or soon to be moms, they can still cut loose and have a good time and have fun. And I gotta say, in that sort of vein, I thought that the costumes and the wardrobe and everything was really cute. I gotta say, I liked a lot of their outfits. I know that's kind of neither here nor there, but I was kind of noticing oh, that is actually a really cute outfit. I think I think they all looked great.
Yeah, and I think for Stephanie in particular, as the seasons have progressed, it's been nice that they haven't made her look as slutty as when it first started.
Yes.
Yeah, they really showed her character evolution.
This is like a fashionable regular person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Kimmy's outfits are still just as crazy. I mean, she dressed up period appropriate to go see Hamilton in the season finale. Also, I don't know if I would have left Hamilton had I been in Kimmy's position. I know she goes into labor at the start of the show. I think I would have stuck it out. I mean, I've seen Hamilton and it's fabulous, and I don't think I would have left. I think I would have just asked for a ton of painkillers and stuck it out, because that's a show we're seeing if you haven't seen it. But that was, yeah, I wasn't surprised when I learned about that. I'm like, okay, of course. But also, they have a girl. Stephanie and Jimmy have a baby girl. The girl power of the She-Wolf Pack will continue on. Again, just to kind of wrap things up here, Jimmy proposes to Stephanie and she accepts. So, again, cheesiness, they have a baby, they get engaged. Wonderful. Moving away from the plot and onto other things. Season 4 went back to the original format of having only 13 episodes and was released all at the same time. Unlike Season 3, which had 18 and was released in 2 parts. Did you like this return back to the old ways? And did it help or hurt the general storyline?
I liked it. As you know, I didn't like last season as much as this one, and I think that's a big reason why, because it felt like it went on forever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make it through all these episodes? But I like the return to the original format of, I think that was just the right amount of episodes. I think it was a much better, more palatable way to watch the show. For sure.
Agreed. I would not have stuck out, no matter how much I love you guys, 20-something episodes.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I liked the 18 episode set just because, to me, I like the anticipation that built, even though it can be annoying for sure. I know it's coming eventually, so maybe I'm just taking the beating, but I'm happy with the long ones. Sometimes I sit with it in the background and I listen. I'm not always just staring directly at the television, so I have no problem with just letting them roll.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing with this, especially with shows like this when you have Netflix and you have these shows that you can just binge and watch and or listen to back to back to back to back. I think that's definitely something I was doing a little bit of too, I'll just listen while I, do something else for a few minutes or whatever. So yeah, I think that's, definitely something that I think is something that comes pretty commonly with shows like that, where you can just binge them and
It goes by so quick.
Yeah, I think because with 13 episodes, you can binge season 4 of Fuller House in just about 6 hours, maybe a little more.
I don't know. I liked how last season was split up, because then it was almost like I took it like 2 seasons. So I was only watching 8 episodes at a time. To whereas even though there was more episodes, it almost felt less to me.
It was easier to get through?
Yeah. Than all of it, yeah. But I don't know why I still seem to breeze through it. Part of me was just like, I just got to get it out of the way. I actually watched it right after it came out, too, which I feel like last season I waited to watch the second part till right before the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we did wait to podcast season 3 until the whole thing came out. I think, man, I really think Fuller House is better served with a shorter episode season. And I think it's also better when it is done all at once, like the rest of the Netflix traditional series are done. You know, I think they had more story to tell in season 3 to get them to season 4. So I can understand why it was done that way. But with this one, I think less episodes really force them to tell a better story overall. I did like, for all things considered, I did like season 4 better than season 3, and so did a lot of other people from what I was reading. This one got better reviews than season 3. Some people were even calling it the best season yet, which was surprising. So I definitely think that this helped them. Something else that may have helped them, transitioning and moving on, that this was also the first season with the new showrunners, Steve Baldakowski and Brian Behar, who were co-executive producers during the previous 3 seasons, and they were also writers. They replaced the original Full House creator and Fuller House, creator and showrunner Jeff Franklin after he was fired from Netflix. So, what did you think of these guys? Did you like their direction for season 4? Do you feel like, did it freshen things up, or did it bring back memories of the weird direction that the original series went after Jeff Franklin exited at the end of season 5? If you remember, that's Danny and Vicky broke up and things kind of went off the rails in the original series run. We kind of talked about this for our returning panelists on the last podcast a little bit. And so again, just as a reminder, Franklin was fired by Netflix in March of 2018 due to complaints of his inappropriate behavior on the set. Since that time, more details have come to light, especially just within the past couple of weeks at the time of this recording, which is mid to end of June 2019. We won't necessarily get into that here. Listeners, if you're interested, you can just do a little quick Google search and everything will pop up. But panelists, what'd you think of these 2 new guys? What'd you think of Steve and Brian? Did you like their work? Did you hate it? What'd you feel?
No, I liked it. I definitely thought that they got, much better performances out of everybody. I feel like, especially with Max and him missing his dad, and I feel like they really were able to get good performances out of them. And I think they pretty much stuck to the formula pretty well. I think they remained pretty consistent throughout it. I mean, I definitely noticed some difference, but I think overall they pretty much stuck to the feel and the theme of the show.
I don't know if I personally could see a big difference. One thing that I did know, and this is kind of silly when I listen to myself talk about it, but I noticed that when there would be heart-to-heart conversations in the original, they used to play some nice little
melodramatic music.
Yes, none of that this
time. The violins came in.
I personally liked that kind of thing because it made it
set the mood.
Endearing.
I noticed that was gone as well, so it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because it took me a while to notice that it was missing.
Maybe that's something that's modern and now they don't want to do that anymore because it's too old, but I don't know. I liked it that way, but I was missing that every season.
I guess I didn't notice much of a difference, but I feel this season there was less of those wink wink nod nods to the original and all the random cameos and stuff. So in a way it did kind of move into its own, stick more to the kids' storylines and the original storylines and less of the original characters, which probably might be one of the reasons why people are saying it's the best season. I didn't read that, but I don't know. It was better than season 3. Maybe I need to go back and watch season 2 to see if I like it better, but no, I won't do that.
Yeah, I agree. That's the one thing that I noticed too, Andrew. It was a lot less, directly speaking to the audience, like, hey, Michelle, come back and join us. There was none of that this season. And the throwbacks and the callbacks to the original series were still there, but they were much more subtle, and they were done in a really good way. One that I really liked was, we finally got to see the boy's dad this season in the first episode. We got to see him in the video from Christmas, and we really hadn't seen him before. I think we'd maybe seen him like in a picture, but we actually got to see Tommy Sr. And we got a little bit of mirroring with Max and DJ. When DJ was little, how she talked about how she lost her mom, Pamela, at such a young age, and how her dad would show her home movies, or Uncle Jesse would talk about her. And so there were moments like that would mirror the original Full House. And I thought that was a really smart way to do those callbacks and those throwbacks. Even Stephanie saying, like, how rude, she really toned it down and made it more adult and made it more like, remember when I used to say this when I was a kid? And it wasn't a direct with the same inflection. And I don't know. I liked that the throwbacks were less. But then again, they did the musical number. And other things, like all of a sudden The Fault in Our Stars is relevant again, and that was so big so long ago that felt really outdated to me. Yeah, there was good and bad. I think it's in good hands, so it'll be interesting to see where they're going to take it for season 5. There was more things that were positive with them taking it over than negative ones.
Kristen, was the musical number the point when you said you had enough?
Kind of. I feel like, I don't know if that felt so out of place for this show. It didn't feel like it was genuine. I mean, it's Fuller House, so nothing is going to feel 100% genuine, but that felt so incredibly forced and so completely out of place, and it felt like that was something that maybe Candace Cameron Bure was the one who's like, hey, I really want to sing this season. I kind of feel like it just came from a not genuine place.
I was going to say, when they did that, I was like, oh, so she was on Dancing with Stars. So she was just looking for some excuse to
show off
and dance again. That's immediately what I thought when they first started. Like, oh, she's just doing this because
her agent has expressed that she wants to do this, or I don't know.
Right.
She's like on the product. I don't know. Isn't she? I know Uncle Jesse or
the producer.
Yeah. Like, isn't she one of them too? So I know she has some pull, but I feel like the writers normally do a pretty good job, and usually when it's something very out of place on a show like this or a show in general, it's usually coming from a non-writer's room person. I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of little things that are kind of adding up, and I'm also at the point too, which again, I'm on a lot of panels here. I watch a lot of TV. There's a lot of good television out there, and this one is so far down my list at this point. There are so many other good shows on television that I'd rather be watching. But we'll get to that. But there's a lot of reasons that I'm just like not excited to watch this anymore. But the musical number and a lot of ungenuine moments like that are really kind of what did it. But I mean, I am going to finish it out to the end of season 5, especially knowing that is the end. When there is a tunnel, like right at the end of the tunnel, I am going to finish it out strong. I'm looking forward to see what they do with Aunt Becky, because that's also my next question, so I'm going to transition into that. So, obviously, if anyone is watching the news, there was that big, college admissions process scandal where a lot of wealthy parents, about a dozen of them, were accused of bribery, to get their children into very prestigious colleges. Lori Loughlin and her husband were in that group of parents. Since the scandal has come to light, Lori Loughlin has been let go of all of her current filming commitments with Hallmark, which she's in a lot of stuff with Hallmark, and also Fuller House. While they haven't discussed it directly, like no statement has been made, she will not be coming back. They have started filming season 5 already. It's been in production for a couple of weeks, again, as of the time of this recording in June. So she's not on set. And some actors have said on social media, like, she's not here, we really miss her. Aunt Becky is done. We have seen the last of Aunt Becky in the Fuller House world. Do you feel that her absence during the final season is going to hurt the show in any way? And how do you think they're going to treat her absence? Do you think they're going to treat her character like Michelle? Like, since the Olsen girls decided not to come back at all, that she's going to be mentioned? So she'll still be around in this universe, but she won't be seen. What are What are your thoughts? We don't need to get into, I don't want to get into like discussing the scandal necessarily. I really just want to talk about how are they going to address her absence, because there's enough talk about the scandal out there. We don't necessarily need to go into that.
Yeah, I think they're probably not going to mention her at all. And I kind of hope they don't go the route of mentioning, like, Michelle, because even when they mentioned her this season for the Christmas episode, it seems so out of place. It's like, why would they be visiting her? Like, why wouldn't everyone be together? It just doesn't fit the character dynamics of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope she's just sort of like not seen, not heard, not spoken about. And because it's so scandalous, I think it's probably better that way. I mean, sort of like the way that they included and didn't include Joey season. It's like they just sort of pop up, but otherwise they're not really mentioned at all. So I don't think it would be super out of place to go that route.
Interesting. Make a good point.
Yeah, I don't think she'll be mentioned. And if she does mentioned, it would be in very poor taste for them to make a joke about it. Like they made some jokes about Michelle, I think. So this won't be a joking thing. At least I can't imagine it would be. So it's either they're not going to mention her at all, or it's going to be in some sort of passing situation.
Chris, in question, I mean, not going into the scandal, but you
Right.
mentioned that people said on set that she wasn't around. Was she supposed to be and just not showing up?
I don't think so, because this came to light before they started like the read-throughs and the film, like rehearsals and everything, before the cameras even started rolling. So I think they knew well enough in advance, because let me check here. I think the scandal broke. It's been a couple months since this all broke, I believe. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I remember.
Probably like in March.
It was like late February, early March, because one of her daughters was on like spring break when this broke out. And the college spring break season is usually first full week in March. Mm-hmm. So they weren't even at table reads yet. So they had time as writers to make adjustments depending on the direction that they were going to go. So I think by playing it smart, because obviously there hasn't been to trial yet, again, as of the time of this recording. So all we know is that they haven't, like Lori Loughlin and her husband have pled not guilty to the initial charges of the conspiracy to commit fraud and money laundering, which are each punishable up to 20 years in prison. So chances are they're probably going to go to trial for that. It'll take a while. And there's also the potential for the prosecution to add even more charges onto that to try to make an example out of them. So Netflix and the team are playing it smart by not having her in the show, not knowing at any point when this could go down, and also try to save face, which is exactly what Hallmark is doing. Yeah, so they had plenty of warning to adjust things. And again, like Samantha said, they only pop in and pop out. Otherwise, they're not really mentioned. So the chances of Aunt Becky being heavily involved was probably pretty slim. And if she was going to be in a critical, quote unquote critical, important moment in the show, they could probably have easily rewritten it to include a different character. I don't think it was going to be necessarily a huge issue for them. I think Max, the young actor who plays Max, Elias Harger, I think he was the one who posted on social media that, she's missed, she's a part of the family, we will miss her. No one else has really come out directly, not even Netflix, to say in definite terms that she is not coming back. It hasn't, quote, been discussed. It's assumed at this point that she's not going to be there at all.
Well, and I think they have to address it somehow, and I think it's going to be really important how they decide to do it. I don't know me personally, I think they should address it and put it into the storyline somehow. Now, whether that she moves for a job and Jesse's like finishing up stuff so he can join her or something. But I think they have to say something about it and address it in some way, because it is such a big thing that I think if they just kind of keep it quiet, then it'll just seem weird, if that makes sense. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it necessarily has to be in a big way, but I think they should have some sort of something to say, here's why she's not here.
Wouldn't it be bad if they had her helping her twin sons going to college?
Oh, jeez. Well, I think, didn't they end up not going to college? Didn't they open up a taco truck?
I think
something and just go surfing. I think they choose not to go. So
yeah,
they were only seen at the very first episode of season 1, right? We really haven't seen Nikki or Alex since.
I
No,
think they were back for one of the holiday episodes.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Were they
Yeah.
Like Christmas or Thanksgiving.
were they the original twins? The ones
Yes.
that were on?
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Everyone has. It's been the same people except for DJ's rich boyfriend. He was played by a different actor. I forgot his name. He was very nice. He was It's Jason Marsden was the actor. Was Viper and the other guy. It's the other guy. I can't remember. It was when they went to DJ's high school reunion.
Nelson, I think.
Nelson, thank you. Nelson, he's the only one that they didn't get the original actor for because he just chose not to come back. I don't know if it was due to scheduling conflicts or what, or if he just said, no, thank you, I'm moved on to simply voice acting at this point. But everyone else has been the original actor or actress. Okay. I think that personally they'll address her absence in some way. They'll make a brief mention of it. I don't know what that will be. I mean, they already did Becky moved away for a job because I think when they started this series, Danny and Becky were doing a morning show in LA. So I don't know if they're going to want to repeat a plot point.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so I don't know what the plan is there. And they have baby Pamela that they adopted. So it's not like they can get a divorce, which also wouldn't be logical for this family. So I really don't know what their move is going to be. But I think...
I hope they don't kill her off.
Won't. They can't. They won't do that because the whole premise of the show is a widowed spouse raising kids. Right. And they've already done it twice. I don't think they're going to do it a third time I think that'd be too much.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
That would be way too much. I don't know if I don't know what they're going to do, but I think it's going to be a Michelle situation where here's a really easy explanation for where she is. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, where she just wasn't able to come back, aka, or she was fired, but her character is still alive and well in this universe. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
As we go into season 5, which is conveniently my next question. What would you like to see in season 5, which, again, as we have said, is going to be the official final season of the series that we come to love and hate, and known as Fuller House.
DJ and Steve have to get married.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If they don't, then, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
I agree.
I know Stephanie... Exactly. I mean, I know Stephanie and her boyfriend got engaged, so maybe they'll do the whole double wedding thing again. I don't know.
Or will it be a triple wedding with Kimmy and Fernando? Because technically they're still divorced.
That's true.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be cheese on cheese on
That would. That would.
Whole thing didn't make a lot of sense to me in the first place. So.
Yeah, I was kind of watching the season, and that was one of the things I was like, I was so confused, like, what is your status? Like, just figure it out already.
Yeah, technically.
Are you divorced? Are you together? Are you engaged? What are you doing?
They're still divorced, which they have been since episode 1. That was their whole original dynamic. Even though it looks like they're back together most of the time, it's still technically they are divorced. What else do you want to see or don't want to see?
I don't want to see Joey's kids.
That was a weird dynamic too.
Yeah, I think we can do without them.
We haven't really seen them lately.
I don't want to see any more musical numbers.
No, those can die.
Yeah.
Those can be done.
Yeah.
I hope they leave out any more holiday episodes, because throughout that entire Christmas one, all I could think was Hallmark movies, because she's such a staple in Hallmark land.
They both are now. Jodie Sweetin's getting into the Hallmark movie now, too.
Oh, that's true. Yes, so no more Christmases.
That's very Tanner, though. I find like it's very
True.
Tanner.
But this was, the second Christmas episode we'd seen now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we're good.
And I thought, I was like, okay, so it's Christmas Eve and you still haven't decorated your house. I don't think most people would be like that. Like, in my family, it would have been decorated for quite a while. And then it was so over the top, and I was like, really? You got that all together in how long?
Yeah, not with that many people in the house.
Right.
I do love the way that they exposed Kimmy's belly, though. I found that was kind of cute.
That was. Yeah, I think I would love to see Stephanie and Jimmy, thank you. I don't know why his name escaped me there for a minute, but kind of navigate being first-time parents. I think that'd be really interesting. I think that would be an interesting plot point to explore. I don't know, I think I'd just kind of like to see the kids I think, I don't know, I'd like to see everybody have a happy ending, but that's just me.
Me too. That's the way I am too.
I have such a heart for those characters, and I think I'd love to see them all, like all the kids being happy in school, and they're doing whatever they're doing, and the women all happy, and everybody just. I'd love to see it all end on a good note.
Me too.
Yes, agreed.
I think I will say I'm a little sad that it's ending because I don't know. I kind of wish it could go on as long as the original did, but I think they are kind of getting to a point where they kind of, I don't know how to say it, like they can't go much further than they already have, if that makes sense. Like I feel like it's kind of a natural time for them to end.
Quality versus quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and while I'm sad to see them go, I think it's appropriate that they're kind of ending it now, and I think they should really try and focus on ending on a high note, for sure.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
And didn't the original get canceled, so they didn't do a traditional finale?
Correct.
So maybe they'll just actually do a good closure.
Yeah, because they know that they know it's the final this time. Yeah. That's the difference.
They did.
That would be so refreshing.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because the original, they thought they were going to have another season, and then they didn't. But they did have the option of getting picked up by what was, at the time, it was the WB, but now it's the CW. They were going to give them a final season, but not all the cast was willing to go. And so that's why that never happened.
Do you know how many episodes the last season will have? I'm just curious.
I have a lot of that information, but is there any other predictions you guys want to make before I start spilling the little information that I have?
Spilling the tea?
Yeah.
Michelle comes back.
Oh, that's what you want to see?
I want it.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It would be really weird, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't even know, honestly, I've thought about that a lot through the whole show, and I'm like, what are these girls really like now? I don't even see much video on them anywhere, so...
They're very successful fashion designers.
Yeah, they're very, very skinny, successful fashion designers.
Yeah, I knew that, but
Isn't one married to, a French prince or something?
He's
50?
He's 50 years old and
yeah,
very well off. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that. I'm strictly talking about acting as a character.
Oh, Michelle as a character.
It's just so weird going from the little girl to now completely adults. I don't know. We saw that in all of them, but honestly, for Michelle and it's just being twins, I don't know. I'm interested to see I would be really interested to see what that would look like.
I don't think Ashley has done anything since the New York Minute.
No, Mary-Kate was the only one who continued.
And stuff. So she still acted for quite a few years.
She did, and Mary-Kate was the only one who actually considered coming back to Fuller House briefly. Ashley was an immediate no, and Mary-Kate she considered it for a hot second. They also briefly considered reaching out to their younger sister, Elizabeth Olsen, who's now of Scarlet Witch Avengers movie fame. Because
Oscar nominee. Yeah.
Right?
She would have totally come back.
Right.
Come on.
Because, realistically speaking, she looks a lot more like the way I would picture Michelle looking in 2019 than Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen currently do.
Yeah.
That is very true.
And she looks a lot more like Candace, Cameron Bure, and Jodie Sweetin as well. So, I don't know. She just doesn't look as strung out like the Olsen twins do. So, I guess if Michelle came back, I wouldn't be opposed if they recasted her in some way.
We'll have to wait and see.
I'll wait and see. Any name predictions for the new Tanner Gibbler baby?
Name predictions?
Pamela, so they can't use Pamela, which was the girl's mom.
Why can't they use Pamela?
Because that's Becky and Jesse's adopted baby girl.
Oh, that's right.
Good question.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be something bananas.
Yeah, well, that would be Jimmy, but then Stephanie would try to rein it in a little bit.
Yeah. Is this where Michelle comes in? Do they name the baby Michelle?
Ooh, that's
even as a middle name or something like that. So we get a Michelle without getting Michelle.
Oh, okay.
Such intrigue you've introduced now, Kristen.
Yeah.
I can't take credit for it. I read it on the internet. but not through a show source. This is through fans wondering if this is how we get Michelle without getting Michelle.
Whatever they do pick, it'll be It'll be unique for sure.
I could see them saying, "How about we name her Michelle?" And then all of a sudden, Michelle walks in and say, "You can't name them that, Michelle. That's my name."
Or he just walks in and says, "You got it, dude."
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be funny.
I could use one of those.
That's interesting. I would go for that. I think that would be really interesting. And I think that would be a good segue into like watching Stephanie and Jimmy be parents. Like that's kind of the first thing you do as a parent, is name your kid.
Or maybe that's something that they can't agree on, so the baby is nameless for like the whole first episode.
Oh, I could totally.
There you go. There you go. That's another good point. I like it. Oh, now I'm getting excited. Now I want to know.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because they're only just starting to film, like they started filming just within the past, like, maybe 3 weeks. It's going to have 18 episodes this last season.
Wow.
They're back to 18. And it's going to be released in late 2019, so at the end of this year. Kevin Bray and Jodie Sweetin confirmed to Entertainment Tonight back in February of this year that this season is going to focus on Stephanie and Jimmy as new parents, and that there's going to be wedding bells.
Okay.
That's it. But we don't know how many, and we don't know for who, and that's all I got. Usually I have more spoilers than this from some sources, and this is all I got, kids.
Did you say that there were more children coming? Is that what you said?
Nope.
Okay.
Just that we're going to see Jimmy and Stephanie as new parents, and someone or some people are getting married.
Everyone got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's got to be DJ and Steve. If it's not, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
We'll cross our fingers.
All right. So, would you recommend the show to others? Why or why not?
Yes, because it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I like season 4 way better, and I know it's cheesy, but I like that. I like the cheesiness. I liked a lot of the episodes and a lot of the aspects of the show this season. I mean, yeah, there were things that were questionable too, but overall, I really liked it. I definitely recommend it, especially if you have kids and kids around the age of the kids in the show. I think if you watch it, then they can see themselves in those kids and learn a lot from them. So, yeah, I'd recommend it for sure.
And I find that some people watch these kind of shows, or they watch anything for the purpose of, they want to see it realistic. But for me, I watch it purely for entertainment value. So if it's not perfect, I never expected it to be. I never expected it all to be wrapped. I take it for what it is, and I enjoy it because I enjoy it. So I don't have the expectations, I guess, that some people might. So if you just want to enjoy people being silly or dumb or whatever, that's why I like to watch it.
I'd say begrudgingly yes, with the warning that it's free. And if that's just so people know what they're getting when they walk into it.
I don't have anyone that I would recommend this to, but if I come across someone that I would, then maybe. But I don't know anyone that I would wish to suffer like I have for 4 years.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Andrew. I don't have anyone in particular that I would say you need to watch the show. I mean, unless they are diehard Full House fans that still have posters on their wall, maybe. I don't know any of those people. I hope I don't know any of those people at my age. I don't know. Let me see how the show wraps up next season, and we'll go from there. So, are you going to keep watching, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. I got to see how everything wraps up.
Yeah, I'm this far in. Gotta get through.
Yeah.
For Kylie and Kristen, I will continue watching.
Thank you, because I'm stuck here too, Andrew. Yeah.
But Kristen, you do have to go watch the rest.
I know. I promise. I'm not far off. I'm really not that far.
I'll give you your brownie points back, but I have to take them away temporarily.
But at least I read the really in-depth, detailed recaps from that wonderful viewer, so I didn't miss anything. I even got dressed up for Hamilton Park. Come on.
That's true. I'll give you effort points, but you gotta sit through it all.
I will suffer.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait. It'll be fun to talk about the next one.
I think, Jared, you said you're going to keep watching?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, wonderful. That's the last little bit I had. So, with that, I would like to thank Andrew, Jared, Leslie, and Samantha for joining me to talk about season 4 of Fuller House. So this panel will reconvene one last time after the 5th and final season of Fuller House premieres on Netflix later this year. And with that, I will send it back to Kylie.
Couch Potatoes Unite! Was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kelsey Rezmer. Kelsey played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole kit and caboodle was engineered and produced by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a message. We might just read it on the podcast. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we should keep, what we should toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we have a guest book, via email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, and Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We always have several more new episodes coming down the pike. Just listen to our intros. And if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We are everywhere and searchable wherever you look for things on the internet. You can search for us, or you can subscribe at our website, our channels, our social media accounts. Stay up on our new events and episodes. Until the next time, all available seasons of Fuller House are available to stream on Netflix, as that is the network who made it. And as Kristen noted, they have not given us our free subscriptions, but we'll keep shilling for them on this podcast. In the meantime, our Fuller House series panel will next reconvene, as Kristen said, for the final time, following the release of the 5th and final season, the date of which has not yet been announced, but which is expected to drop later this year. Keep a weathered eye to CPU for all the deets. In the meantime, and until next time, until next episode, new episodes published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.